But so I've been wanting to talk about validation for quite some time, and I finally sat down and mapped out the entire um, let's see what I'm gonna say and how I'm going to structure it. But it's you know all that stuff. So the first thing I want to say is when a man tells you you are pretty, or all those ugly words they use, which they're actually ugly because uh, they're a means to control you. So when a man says you're pretty, he's not complimenting you. He's trying to test to see if you will fall under his control tactic, right? So if you are vulnerable, if you are unaware, if you are seeking validation, um, for whatever reason, and a man comes along and he says you're pretty, and you're like, and well, he knows you better walk away. But if you say like, oh wow, thank you, he knows you're an easy target. So please know that you don't need the validation of anyone. And it's not just men. You don't need your parents' validation. You don't need your family's validation, your siblings' validation. You don't need your coworkers' validation. You don't need your boss's validation of who you are. The only validation you need from your boss is whatever it is work that you're supposed to be doing so you can get paid for it, so you can, live a peaceful life at home. Which brings me to another topic of, in this capitalist world, a lot of things that people are making money with are not 100% ethical, or moral or good. I mean, a lot of people have to figure out how to make money, and yeah, it may be legal, but is it ethical? Is it moral? Is it good? Is it the best thing for humanity? Is it the best thing for community? Fine example of that. One of many examples, I mean, is a lot of people are like, oh, ChatGPT or AI or whatever. I mean, yeah, you can create all these images and you can use it for this, that, the other, but is it really affecting the water supply situation, or the water is, and all of these things, like, so just because you can doesn't mean you should in many instances, right? Okay. So another example of capitalist system where people have to shred at their ethics and their morality, is in every industry if you look at it close enough with a microscope, okay? And so, okay, that's, again, I went off topic, but this is why I have it written on the screen. So validation, okay, for example, everybody wants to be seen, everybody wants applause, for example. This is what AI says. And by the way, I don't just use ChatGPT, which doesn't help the environment, but again, gotta cut corners somehow to get stuff done in this capitalist system. Everybody wants the likes, compliments. Okay, that's not everybody, but this is what it says. So yeah, okay, so let's speak for a moment to the people that want to be seen, want the applause, want the likes, the compliments, the attention, the approval, right? Okay, because we're coming from an attention economy, an attention society, an attention validation. Look at me, blah 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 blah. Attention marketing, whatever you want to. So coming from that, a lot of people are still brainwashed to believe that being seen, being complimented, being approved, having the attention from other people is what is important. But now we're learning that obviously that is not what is important. So, again, this is all about validation and how we don't need it. You don't need it from anybody except your own self. Your own self. You are the only person that should be validating your choices and your. And I'm going to be speaking about fear later on, not today, but later on in the either week or the month or whatever. I'm going to be talking about fear and how to not have fear and how to get rid of fear. And fear is not it. Fear is another freaking tactic that is used by manipulative controlling types of systems. Okay, which people use them. Okay. So I'm going to talk about fear. I'm also going to be talking about love. And I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but love is a social construct. It truly is. Love is the reaction of a biochemistry chemical release in the brain, right? So you're getting released. If so, like, say you're like, oh my god, I'm so in love, right? For example, you ever been through that? Oh man, he makes me feel so all that stuff. Okay, that's coming from a surge of dopamine, serotonin, adrenaline, release of the chemicals in your brain. The feel-good chemicals in your brain are being all released, a big old surge bomb in your brain from the natural chemicals called hormones, for hormones and things like that. They're being released. It makes you think that you're in love because you're just feeling all these things and they just feel like you're all the feel good. Okay, adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin. You know what those things do. And then you attach it to a memory of a person, and then you think you love them. Okay? All right. So it's all a reaction, and society, mainly the patriarchy, has used it against women and for themselves, men, in the patriarchy. Like, so they don't put words to it. They don't assign these, scientific or like logical, or like biochemistry. That's not even real. I mean, come on. When have you been taught this in school or college or high school or whatever? Or, I mean, are you learning it in nursing school? Are they teaching you that in doctor school or whatever, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't freaking know. Anyway, so love is a feeling, sure. It is an emotion of a orchestra of hormone release, and then of course it attaches to the memory of that person that makes you feel that way. So you're like, oh, that's the one, I'm in love, bah, bah, bah. And it lasts for a while. I mean, it's not like a 90-second scroll surge. It can last days, weeks, months, years. You feed into it, it's a whole process, right? So, anywho. And by the way, it's also the same type of chemistry surge orchestra that happens from the moment you meet the person you believe you fell in love with. You, for example, decide to have a child with, then you get, pregnant, and then you have those 9 months, and then you have that honeymoon phase, or they call it the baby moon phase, and then the child grows up, so it can last up to that whole thing that I just talked about just a little bit ago. The surge orchestra of hormones can last up to 7-10 years. And so what happens is a lot of times these people that have tons of children, like the Duggars and all these other ones, 20 kids, 19 kids, 18 kids, whatever. What ends up happening is that they get addicted to that whole process of getting pregnant, going through the pregnancy, then they do this, then they do that, that whole, like, let's say 7 to 15 years of having a child, whatever. I wouldn't know, but okay, this is all just read it in the freaking science books, put it together. Okay, just put it together. I'm spilling it out. You got to pick it up or drop it. I don't care what you do with your life. I'm just telling you shit that other people might have not told you yet. Okay? Now, so anywho, this let's say 7 to 15 year surge of So what happens is, by say say the oldest child is maybe 15 or something, then the parent is probably like, oh, and then the mortality of that parent starts to get questioned, like, oh my gosh, they're old, that means that they're old, the parent is old, and then all this whole fluctuation of things, like, what's gonna fix this painful existence of the 15-year-old is growing, and soon they'll be an adult, then they'll move out or whatever. So their go-to is, well, by golly, it's time to have another. And so they just add the surge of the first child on top of another surge, on top of another surge, and all of a sudden they got 20 kids. And they're like, ooh, coming out of a fog. Like, I don't know how that happened. I don't know. Put it together. So you don't need validation from nobody. You ain't got to need none of that. The only validation you need is your own. Like, your decisions, whatever you do, wherever you go, whatever you decide. And anybody that is like not supportive of, I mean, as long as it's good kind of things, and I'm not talking about like all that weird stuff that other, that people do. Anyhow, going back to, let me read this section. I'm still in the first paragraph, by the way. So let's talk about the cost of needing external validation. Because when your self-worth depends on strangers clapping for you, you become emotionally controllable. Do not become emotionally controllable. That's what this is about. Okay, the validation equals self-sabotage. And it's also financially sabotaging as well, because then you become like trapped, or like a type of like slave. Yes, that's the word. You don't want to do that. You want to be able to have the financial means to make your own decisions. So, and then emotionally controllable people become financially manipulatable too. That, I don't even know if that's a word, but that's a word that AI spit out. It says manipulatable. So, whatever. What that means is just what I just said, which is, if you're emotionally vulnerable, it's easier to control you. And if you're financially vulnerable from the emotional vulnerability, you're easier to control. You're an easier target. Okay, so here's the thing about posting all of these attention get me stuff. So say the people, they are posting like their vacation, luxury item, dinner, soft life moment. Those people that post their airplanes or their Ferraris or relationship. Look at me, and they're all half naked on the yacht and this, that. That's all a construct to make you think that's what you want. But you have to dig deep and really ask yourself, is that really what you want? Or is that something that you have been told is the correct thing to do or have? Or, again, the brain, from what, scientifically, what they've been saying is that the brain doesn't really like start fully developing maybe 25 years old, maybe higher than that. I mean, that you before 25 years old, your brain is still developing. Come on. So the 18-year-old legal age for working, or what is it, driving, or even I don't know what the voting age is, to be honest. At this point, is it 21? Is it 18? I don't freaking know. But you know what I mean, like all this 18 and up, blah, 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 blah. Okay, get a job, blah, blah, blah. All of those things were just legalized at 18 because they wanted more workers. Think about it. Okay, anywho, younger workers are easier to manipulate, right? Their brains are still developing. So they separated them from their homes through either the military or making them work at 18. So they would separate them from the home so that they can have more workers, so that they have more people to pay bills, to pay rent, to pay for an extra car, to pay for buy another couch, buy another bed, buy another all that stuff. So anywho, these people that, for example, are like, look at my car, look at my airplane, look at my boat, blah blah blah. You know, um, you know, if you really think about it, that they're either okay. Say they're not faking it. Say they have a car or a boat or an airplane or whatever. They have those things, but I mean, do they show the part where they're anxious, where they're drained, where they're exhausted, where they're, I mean, so that's what authenticity is. Showing the true self of like the actual, what the emotions are going through. So there's a difference between documenting your life online, for example, versus performing your life for approval. Okay, so there's a difference. I'm not talking about the one where, okay, this is what I am talking about. So let me read it again so it sinks in. Documenting your life versus performing your life for approval. So yeah, like documenting your life versus performing for approval. Yeah, the whole like, oh, but that's so performative. Oh, the people that cry, this was a thing, like, I don't know, what was it, last year or something? People would cry on their cameras, like on TikTok, like it just seems so performative. Now, if it was a real like emergency situation, you could tell the rate is the terror in people's eyes, right? Or the performance in their eyes, right? So, and that's different from actually documenting your life because you want to bring awareness, because you want to help other people, because, all of those things, like the TikToks where the women that have or had like bruises all over their bodies, on their faces, things like that, right? So those bruises, alone just tell a story, right? I've never seen any of those in a performative way. So I'm not talking about that, but I am talking about those brave women being able to document their life, showing the bruises on their faces. That is about, awareness, helping others, seeking help, getting help, and so that's just, please keep in mind, everything has a line, and, it's really helpful to know which line you're walking, right? Like, it's really easy to kind of fall off of it or not understand it or have blurred lines or whatever. But I'm trying to make it as, I don't know. If anything, every day I'm just mind boggled. I express it as best I can verbally, but I still feel like I'm saying a whole bunch of you know, just just yapping. Yap. I feel like I'm yapping and yapping and yapping, but I know that AI helping me structure the text or the paragraphs or whatever really truly helps. Otherwise, I would not be able to do it. I would not be able to talk about one topic uh, without being structured this way. So anyhow, but keep going. So anyway, those are two completely different energies. Two different energies. The difference between, please learn, documenting your life for positive intentions is good. Performing your life for approval is just not helpful at all. For you, for anybody, it just, whatever. Do what you want. I'm just telling y'all, like, I'm just saying, like, what I've learned in life so far. Now, especially when it comes to business wins, testimonials, case studies. In fact, I interviewed today a lady that specializes in case studies for marketing in business. So, this got brought up again on this topic today, which is pretty cool. Which they're basically like social proof for your business, your company. Um, that makes sense strategically, business wise. People need, it's always good to have that evidence, that portfolio, that trajectory, journey of your business so that it can actually deliver results, right? That's business. But posting for example, personal move, like what you ate for dinner, I don't even think, I know that in my like social media sphere, I don't see any of that anymore. I don't know I'm sure other people are doing it somewhere else, but it ain't in my feed. It ain't in my news feed or whatever it's called. Scroll log, whatever it's called. I really don't. So like the food, and it's fine especially if you're in the food business industry, right? If you're posting what you're eating, where you're eating, if you at and all these things, that's understandable. So again, with the blurred lines, we always have to be very careful with those things. So shopping trips, vacations, luxury purchases. They're just, you can do it. Please do whatever you want, but who are you trying to convince? That's the question. Are you trying to convince them that you have all of these things, that you have the money, you have the what? Or are you trying to convince yourself that that's the best way to spend your money on, like, I don't know, Gucci or Louis Vuitton or Louis Vuitton, what's that one? Saint Yves Laurent, is it S? I'm too dyslexic for that shit right now. Well, I'm always dyslexic, but I'm not looking at it on the screen, so I really don't know how to read it, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, who's buying that stuff anymore? Who's buying? Oh, God awful, gaudy, speaking of that, I don't know if you saw Beyonce's, Met Gala, gown. There's so much opulence in the world sometimes. It's like, why? That's the question. Who are you trying to convince? Convince what? Good for you. Great for you. I'm so glad you're a freaking trillionaire, Elon Musk. Good for you. And thank goodness he doesn't, it doesn't seem like he buys a whole bunch of useless things, but he probably does. Anyway, back on track over here. Who are you trying to convince? That's the question here. Because secure people usually move quietly. That's the bottom point. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Most people are not sitting around deeply caring about your success. They care about their survival, their bills, their insecurities, their goals, their emotions. And sadly, some people will absolutely become jealous of you, competitive of you, resentful of you, envious of you. And in the moment they think that they're in the moment, they'll become envious. I don't even know what this is. Whatever. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your visibility activates their insecurity, their rage, their uncomfortability, okay, so competition is a horrid thing, and I don't care if you watch sports or not, but honestly, who cares about rugby scores or soccer scores or football scores or baseball scores or any of that stuff? That stuff is part of the patriarchy. That's like, oh yeah, let's spend all this money doing all this stuff over here for what? Who is it benefiting except the eyes of the patriarchy and the pockets of the patriarchy? Okay, competition is BS. Bad. It's what makes people become who they become. And by the way, the fact that most women, a lot of women, many women have empathy, compassion, sympathy is the reason why y'all still all freaking walking around on this freaking planet. Because if this planet was only men, they would already kill themselves, each other. Already. They would have just like, they're so that's just the way they're wired, I suppose. I don't know what it is, but I do know that if it was just all men, there would be nothing left. They would devour every single thing, including themselves. So the world needs empathy. The world needs compassion. The world needs sympathy. Without that, you become a monster. Okay? So there is this one quote, and I don't know if it's true or not, whatever. But on the top, it says something about Elon Musk did say, or maybe somebody put it on. I don't know if it's true. Something about like having empathy is a sign of weakness. Whatever that is whoever said it, that is not true. That is not true. Empathy is not a sign of weakness. Empathy is the only reason you are still typing your BS, attacking people on the street, doing all these stuff. Why? Because people with empathy have forgiven you. And some of y'all don't deserve forgiveness. All right, let's move on. All right, so it activates, so your visibility activates their insecurity, and then they become some of them, they become jealous and rageful and whatever. So anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is this is why overexposure can become self-sabotage. Okay, if you overexpose this, if you overexpose that, if you overexpose this, if you're right, okay, not everything needs an audience. I mean, if there's a strategy behind it, that's understandable. Okay, get your money, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking to I'm not talking to the 1%. I'm not talking to the, I'm not. I'm talking to the everybody else, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't care about, I don't even understand numbers, to be honest, that much, if at all. Anyway, not everything needs an audience. Privacy is power. Privacy, and I'm not talking about the anonymity that some people use to do nefarious things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the privacy of, like, not everybody needs to know what's in your pantry. Not everybody needs to know how much money is in your bank account. Not every, you know what I'm saying? Like important stuff like that, right? If you want to show your $30 that you made, cool, okay. But if you have, like, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, nobody wants to know about that. Nobody, I mean, look, whatever. however many thousands. That's your business. And no, you should not overexpose that kind of stuff. What are you trying to prove? Who are you trying to convince? Okay, you have the money. Good for you. Move quietly. Win in silence. Okay? Anyway, unless you want those like envious people coming for you online and stuff. Anyway, this is what's really good. Women are finally waking up to something important. A woman's value is not determined by what men think of about her appearance. Period. That's it. Bottom line. You know, if a woman likes herself, if she feels beautiful, powerful, aligned, successful, that matters more than any random outside opinion. For generations, women were trained to perform beauty for external approval. Now women are realizing she defines herself, not trends, not strangers, not social media, not male approval. Self definition is freedom. Your definition of yourself is freedom. The most dangerous, well, this is what this says. I don't know if I agree with it, but a dangerous addiction. I'm not going to say the most. There are very many dangerous addictions, but I will say this. This is another dangerous addiction is validation dependency. The people that depend on validation of other people's opinions of them. People will literally destroy their peace, finances, authenticity, privacy, nervous system just to feel temporarily noticed in real life or online. And the crazy part, the internet forgets fast. Today's viral moment is tomorrow's invisible post. Ain't nobody thinking about you. Don't nobody care about what you're up to because everybody's thinking about themselves. Real power is accomplishing goals quietly, protecting your energy, moving intentionally, building in silence, enjoying life without needing witnesses. Because when you stop needing applause, you become impossible to manipulate. And that is true freedom. Thank you very much. I'm tired. I'm done. Have a lovely rest of the day. Appreciate you. All right. So hope everyone's having a great day. Hope I have everything turned on. Who knows? I probably have something turned off. But so I've been wanting to talk about validation for quite some time and finally sat down